Hello guys, how are you doing? In this video, I'm going to be interviewing Jasper Cloete, a businessman and author of this awesome book called Legacy, on basically how, one can be, promoted in the workplace, how can increase, their income in the workplace, number one, and even get to a stage where they can actually negotiate shareholding within a company. Wow, man, that's gutsy, but I just said, let me interview this man and hear what it has to say. I mean, if this is your first time on this channel, a very warm welcome to you. Please hit that subscribe button so that we can just grow together. As I'm going to be giving you much more entrepreneur interviews, much more, success lessons, and interviewing people who have basically, gone before and established, successful enterprises and successful careers and organizations. And if you're back again, thank you so much for your support. We are growing about 120 plus subscribers. Thank you guys for the support, and I know that we'll continue growing together. So yes, Mr. Jasper Cloete, thank you very much for joining me, in this interview, in this video, just to discuss with regards to getting promoted. I mean, you are someone who's interesting because from when I was reading your book, just in terms of the introductory section, I mean, I could see that you are someone who's always tried to get to the top of whatever you had set your mind to achieve. Because I mean, you had an MBA back in 1982. Man, that's something. I think for me, it's always intriguing because it's only now you hear about MBAs, but you had already. And how old were you back then when you did that?
I'll have to work out how old am I now. No, I got that when I was my early 30s, like
So from
31 or 2.
31, 32, you already had an MBA. I mean, that's a different mindset for that time. I mean, from the 80s to already pursue a master's. I mean, that's something.
No, I was 28.
Wow, man, 28.
Yeah.
Man, that's that's just amazing, And you're someone who, of course, has gone to the top in terms of your academics at that time. That was quite exceptional because I guess many people would just get by with a high school qualification and they would pretty much live a decent life. But you just chose to take things in terms of the next level. I mean, you've also been in corporate. I mean, got into executive positions in corporate. You've also run your own business. I mean, we are here at Eagle's Nest, conference center, a big conference center here in Johannesburg, Four Ways. And I know you run this with your lovely wife, Helen.
She runs it. I just have the privilege to be married to her.
Yeah, and call it our business, right?
Yeah.
And I got that from the book. That you call it our business, which is quite amazing. And I think also, you've established, the generational inheritance group, an organization, you're a community leader. And, that's why I was like, we can actually learn from you in terms of, getting promoted and taking things to the next level. And it's actually something you write about. So I just didn't think it was a nice idea, but I realized that you actually, applied your mind to that concept and you went through it.
Yeah, Henry, thank you. And congratulations to the listeners who are listening to all the previous podcasts so that they can follow the thread of the story. Because what you're basically doing through this podcast is slowly unpacking the book.
Yeah.
For people who may not have a copy or are just lazy to read. And I'm actually amazed how lazy people are nowadays to read. I know that when I grew up, I just absorbed books because I wanted to learn what other people knew. I think I think you want to take the conversation to a person is in struggle. He may have had a job, he still got a job, but he just doesn't know how to get that extra income stream or how to move ahead. And you call it promote yourself or stuff like that. I want to maybe just tackle it from another angle.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage everyone listening to this, go and Google gig economy, GIG economy. I don't know if you've done it.
Yes.
But it's a big thing in Europe and America and places like that, which basically says it's it's another word for part-time economy.
Okay.
So gone are the days that you'll start in a company at age 20, 21 and work for the next 40 years in that same company and retire with a golden watch or something like that.
Wow.
That was the old ways. Technology, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, blockchain. We don't even know robotics, what's going to happen to the economy. And the sad part is that almost 80% of people who are now studying for careers, the careers will have been gone by the time they finish studying.
Wow, man, that's something.
But it's not, it's scary if that was your only plan. But if you understand that whatever I'm studying is to improve myself,
Okay.
and make sure that you're studying stuff that you like doing, that improve your skills and your gifting.
Yeah.
Because in this gig economy, and just interesting, the word gig, the history of gig was in the old days when artists is a low-paying position, but when they can find someone who say, "Come and play at my party or at my
Oh, so it's
funeral,"
like a part-time gig.
yeah.
Okay.
Then they would say,
Okay.
I have a gig, and that gig
Oh.
was then, I have a part-time job. God is good.
Oh, wow.
That's where the word gig came from.
Oh, man. That's interesting.
Gig is also about a temporary job. So people will no longer have long-term jobs. Even the so-called old secure jobs will be on a contractual basis from year to year.
Wow.
So better get used to the so-called uncertainty in a job. And the only certainty you can give to it is when you control the value that you add, and you become so valuable that people are queuing up to have you as part of their entity. Now, how do you get there? Well, first of all, don't waste your time to try and do things that you don't like doing. So some people are studying, becoming a CA, but they hate sitting in an office. They would have been better off maybe being an artist.
Wow.
So don't follow conventional wisdom to say, hey, that's a high-paying career. It might be high-paying, but you might be so unhappy that you'll die early of some or other stress factor.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage you, find your purpose. How do you know what you're good at? Well, find out what you're not good at, and you do that by doing lots of things.
Yeah.
And you know, basically what my book is about is all my failures.
Yeah.
How I did lots of things to find out I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that, but I'm good at this. And many times you don't know what you're good at, you almost stumble onto it.
Yeah.
And listen to what people tell you. I mean, yeah, you are a lawman. You know, I look up to law people and say, wow, they're clever. And yeah, you're saying, I love law, but I also love this empowerment of communities. And you took it upon yourself to now start with a hobby, but it could well become a career going forward.
No, definitely.
And
yes.
so pursue hobbies, first of all, just for the passion of it. Learn as much as you can. Another thing that I did from an early stage is to learn how to make conversation with people, but really be interested in people. Now, I'm still shy and a bit of an introvert, so whenever I travel, I'm quite happy to sit in my little corner there with a book and occupy myself. I don't want to be involved with other people. But in building organizations, I had to learn to talk to a large group of people across sectors.
Yeah.
And my mentor taught me a little door opener technique that I still use to this day. And it's called FORM, form.
Form. Okay.
So whenever I'm in a discussion and I now have to make conversation, then F stands for family.
Okay.
O stands for occupation. R stands for recreation, and M stands for motivation.
Okay.
So with that comes the understanding that when last did the guy just come up to you and ask you about you?
Man, that's I can't even remember.
Huh? So what happened when we come in a lift and we go up or down? We don't make eye contact. We watch the ceiling and all sorts of things.
Whatever, yeah.
So people are isolated, and we are actually social beings. Now imagine you come to a place or a convention and you actually know no one. And over the floor comes someone to you with a big smile on his face and introduce himself and start talking to you and asking about you, Henry.
Yeah, man, I'll open up
I w-
like a book.
you feel, what a nice person.
Yeah,
And you want to, and if you ask the right question. So this FORM must be done from that perspective, that understand that people are shy, but help to open them up. And what makes you open up? If you talk about stuff that are of interest to you.
yeah,
So F stands for family.
yes,
Your family important to you? Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
So I would normally say, so hi, my name is Jasper Cloete, but I wouldn't start with, although I call it FORM, it's just to remember it. I would normally start with occupation. So I would say, so, oh Henry, so looks like you and I are both new here, so where are you from? Or what do you do for a living?
yeah,
And whatever you answer is then my source material to ask the next question.
wow,
And I would talk about, okay, so you're in law. What made you study law? And then you will tell about a family member or someone who impressed you, and or something you read. Okay. Or a person. Many the times nowadays people would say, I used to be an engineer, but you know, I was recently retrenched, or I'm in between jobs and I'm now doing this.
yeah,
Then I say, and how long have you been doing this? Oh, and before, and before,
Yeah.
and very quickly, a person gives you a life story. You've effectively done it with me
Yeah.
in this talk to ask my journey in gig. And because it's my own material, it's easy for me to be enthusiastic about it.
yes,
So after I talked occupation, then are you married? Have you got kids?
yeah,
So what does your wife do? And if you say, but she's now doing this, but only for the last 6 months. Oh, and before,
oh yes,
you know, the same thing.
Yeah.
You just so the natural conversation, but I just direct it with questions.
yeah,
And then if I now run out of conversation, I still have to talk. Then I say, so what do you do for recreation? You look like a fit guy. Do you
Yeah.
gym or rugby or whatever? And then we can talk along those lines.
yeah,
And then finally, it's about what motivates you.
yeah,
If you have the money, if you don't have to work, what would you be doing to keep yourself busy? And that can make for interesting discussions. And that's how over the many years I've learned about the world of an engineer, of the world of a doctor, of the world of a lawyer. And where initially I was almost intimidated by speaking to people of professions that I didn't know about.
yeah,
And I put them on a pedestal. In talking to them, I found out, hey, they're just normal people with normal hurts and pains, and people don't understand them.
yeah,
So that's maybe a tip that I can give. But I mean, the discussion was, how do you improve yourself?
yeah,
Improve your people skills.
yes,
Become a listener, a talker. Find out about people. Many of the businesses that I'm involved with today was as a result of the skill of learning to talk to people.
yeah,
And then along the line comes a point where they have a need and I can add value to it. And then that leads to the next thing and you pursue value. And then also a tip that I can give is volunteer.
yeah, volunteer.
Volunteer, and I think that's what you're doing in church and all sorts of things.
Yes, man. I mean, that's big. You know,
Yeah.
sorry to cut you there, but I think this is one of the ways you can break unemployment. I think the number one way to break unemployment is volunteering.
Yeah, and it's sad that you know, our current government saw it fit to break the whole structure of apprenticeship. But that was the backbone of the old economy, where youngsters could go and study to become an apprentice. So what is an apprentice? You're actually volunteering your job for no pay, but so that skills can be transferred. And then as you stay in that apprenticeship, by the second year you get paid a little bit, then a little bit more. By the time that you're in your 4th year of apprenticeship, you've actually grown your own customer base.
Wow, man. I mean, that's something really, you know, which is, you know, I think it's next level thinking. You know, I was having this discussion with my friend the other day, and I was like to my friend, you know what? How about actually paying a company for you to go and work there and get experience? You know, if you're coming out of university, or maybe during your university, you know, days or whatever, when you're trying to figure out a career. Because I mean, if you are paying for, you know, theory at universities, thousands upon hundreds and thousands of rands, you know, why not pay a company for 5 months for invaluable knowledge where you're going to actually learn something?
No, just play on that topic. Let's say I'm the MD of a company, uh, and uh, I get approached by this youngster, a positive attitude, and he's asking me to say, listen, please don't pay me a cent for the next 5 months, but I want to come and I want you to use me in whatever capacity because I want to learn. Whereas another youngster say, come into the interview and say, what are you going to pay me?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Which one am I likely to take on immediately?
The first guy.
It cost me nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking for people who can help me grow my company. But if I can get that without paying, and that guy's happy that it's a fair exchange, I give him an opportunity, and he give me his skills, and he does it with a good attitude. You know, even if I can't employ him after 5 months, I'm gonna become his advocate.
Of course.
And I'm going to start talking to my friends, say, listen, this is a bright guy. We can't let him get lost in the system. Because you need to get people to become your ambassador. And they will become your ambassador if you can show them your heart and your passion and your motivation and stuff like that.
Wow, man, that's something. And I think in this book, Legacy, you talk about, you know, adding value, and you say that it's not necessarily about having another qualification, you know, having another degree or a master's, a certificate, and going to your boss and say, hey, you know, guys, I've been studying for the past 2 years. This is this is my degree. But if you cannot translate that, you know, to value, then it's going to be an academic exercise.
Well, Henry, you studied and I've studied. You know, the most stupid I felt was when I got my degree. Because I realized I've got a piece of paper, but I'm worth nothing here. I don't know how to use this piece of paper. And unfortunately, people then go with this entitlement mentality. Look at my piece of paper, pay me a 30, 45,000 rand. And nobody's going to do that. But if you can, simple things like, you know, what you have there, if you're connected,
Yeah.
don't waste time playing games and stuff like that. Go on YouTube and research how to build websites.
Yeah.
Research how to work with a software program like HubSpot, which is a customer relationship program, or stuff like that. And that 1% extra that you know, I have this joke about becoming a student of words. How many times have you been in a discussion with so-called financially clever people?
Yeah.
And they drop words like ROI and debtors and derivatives and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you said, wow, this guy is clever.
Yeah, man, a lot.
And you think he's clever just because he knows one word more than you, or whether it's in law or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm saying just become a student of words, become that extra word more clever than the next person. And don't show off. But people will quickly pick up that you're a learner. I've got a friend, he's now in his 60s, but at a young age, he was a CA. Then he got bored with the CA. He said, no, and then he started converting companies that were in trouble, took a share in that. Then he says, okay, but how do I keep my finger on the pulse? Then he bought the first PCs in South Africa, learned how to program, build APIs and software. Then he says, hey, accountants need it, become a lecturer. Then he says, but people don't market me effectively. So he started marketing. Where did he find all that information?
Yeah.
On the internet.
On the internet. The Ethernet.
And it's free.
And it's free. You know, that's the beauty about the time that we live in, is that, I mean, a lot of young kids, or even us, I mean, this is not for young people. You know, there's always something to do. You can always learn something, and it's for free. But as you're saying, sometimes we get consumed in the other things, you know, social media, entertainment. I think people get so consumed with entertainment rather than actually, you know, improving themselves and equipping themselves.
And on that same social entertainment, the people who are putting out the YouTube videos that they are consuming, they get paid.
Yeah, it's their job.
But they know how to work that media. So,
Yeah.
you know, the biggest trick is find your passion.
Yeah.
And start bringing out. You do what Henry is doing. Start a podcast. on any topic.
And so I mean, that's quite amazing. And you just, for the last thing, you actually touch about, negotiating shareholding. You can actually negotiate shareholding or profit sharing with your employer if you demonstrate, value addition. Yeah.
That's going to be more tricky. You really have to have lots of value. But let's take a scenario. You're in a company and they're selling goods and services. And in working with your client base, you realize that everybody keeps asking, don't you also have X? And then you go and source X, and you come and present a case to your boss to say, I'll open up this department and I'll run X for you. But on that, I want to then become a shareholder.
Yeah.
So he's not going to give you shareholding on old stuff. But so that's one way of doing it. Other collaboration would be to say, all right, you're an attorney, and I'm starting a new company, but there's a high risk on a legal aspect, and I want to be strong on that, but I'm not strong myself.
Yeah.
So I approach you, and you're willing then to put in sweat equity or time for a share of my business. So the key word there is collaboration.
Yeah.
But you won't know who to collaborate with if you're not mixing in the right circles.
Yeah.
So find ways to connect with people who are go-getters. Community Chamber of Commerce is a good place to connect with people. The Gig Institute is another place to connect with people. Your church.
Yeah.
I believe you've got a bunch of winners here.
Yeah.
But there's so many community platforms. So don't become a hermit. Don't sit in a corner. Nobody's looking for you. Go out and find activity.
And add value. I think serve. When you start serving, conversations become easier because people always try to gather around something of common interest. I mean, I always laugh at this, that, whenever you're walking down the street, these days people are sort of antisocial. But one thing for sure, if you are a jogger, if you are jogging, other joggers will wave at you. I don't know, there's just this sense of, in any other setting, even if I had seen this person, they would never wave at me. But simply because we are connected.
Respect.
Yeah, there's mutual respect, and we are connected with an activity, people wave at you. I mean, that's quite interesting. Yes, so man, Jasper, thank you very much for that. I think in this time that we are in, it's important just to know, how can we take things, to the next level? How can we improve our lives and not just think that? And I think one more thing I just wanted to find out from you. I think most people, they are so concerned, I think it's with surviving. Because someone will say, what do you mean I should pursue my passions, but I still have bills? What am I going to do about that? How can we balance that?
And it's a good question. And I think if you look at the average person trying to work from 8 to 5, when I started to make my transition out of the corporate career, I realized, listen, I have to give my 8 to 5, and during that 8 to 5, I was 100% focused on the job.
Yeah.
But I didn't waste time, I didn't take long breaks and stuff like that, but then they must also not steal my time after 5.
Yeah.
And many times when they would lay on meetings afterwards, I just said, listen, excuse me, but I've got other commitments. Then I consciously booked myself on my other activity. That was my previous multi-level marketing. And I booked from 5 in the afternoon till about 10 in the evening. So that was another 5 hours I gave myself. And when you start doing that consistently, that's time spent extra that another person is not, or investing that another person is not investing. So, but in that, I didn't neglect I had kids at school. So at the beginning of the month, I would sit with Helen. I said, okay, tell me all the family activities and important things that needs to be attended to. And then I would book it out in my calendar. And then I might have already a few standard business commitments on my private business that are also booked in. Then all the free times that I haven't yet allocated, I would then know that is time that if I don't invest it into some other productive activity, that would be time wasted. And then I would just concentrate on finding productive activities. And productive activities can be learn a new subject.
Yeah.
Productive activities could be do a name list of potential prospect and meet them and talk to them. That could be a productive activity. So everybody in his own business would know what these things are.
Yeah.
But it is possible to have a balanced life and still put in that extra time and do the extra thing, because if you keep doing what you've done, you'll keep having what you've got.
Wow, man. Hey, thank you very much, Jasper, for that. That was quite, insightful. And I'm sure there might be a few things I'm going to catch up in this book that I would want to talk to you about and that our audience would be interested about. So thank you very much for that. Guys, thank you for coming through and watching this video. Hit that thumbs up, share this video with someone if you got any value in it, and subscribe so that we can grow together, man. I love you. God bless you guys, and I will see you on the next video. Cheers.